Hello everyone, I'm back again to do some more variety puzzles. I always enjoy doing these and had a little extra time tonight, so I figured I'd record another installment. I think last time we left off, we had just done one of the fill-ins, if I remember correctly. Yes. And I talked about how I enjoy doing these escalators, but I'd already been filming for like almost 2 hours, or maybe an hour and a half. And so I thought I would leave it for next time, so I think this time we should try. These ones are fun, but sometimes can give me a little bit of trouble, especially with, I think as I mentioned before, these printed variety puzzles, especially since these are already like, this book is like a decade old. Sometimes they lean a little old in some of their references, or some words that they use, but we will try our best. So, if you don't know, for this kind of puzzle, the way it works is each set of 3 clues go together in a row, and between each clue, you will drop one of the letters and put it in this box, and then rearrange the remaining ones to get the answer to the next clue. I guess it's just easier to see once I start doing it, but so let's see if we can try. So that usually means, I'm not sure if it's always, but I think pretty much always it's, oh yeah, we're at the 6th letter. So it's always going to be a 6-letter word, a 5-letter word, and then a 4-letter word. Sometimes it's kind of easier to start backwards if you're stuck on one of the first clues. None of these are immediately calling out to me, but I am seeing author Willa, and I know that is Willa Cather. So I'm going to go ahead and start on 4, actually. Oh, also, you can read it here as well, but each letter that you leave behind, you put in these squares, and when you're done reading down, will be either a phrase or like 2 related words. Yeah, related words, a compound word, or a phrase. So number 4 is Cather. Instruct would be to teach. So we got rid of the R and then rearranged C-A-T-H and E to make teach. And then converse is going to be chat. Which means that we got rid of the E and rearranged C-H-A-N-T to make chat. So that's the basic premise of the escalator puzzles. Let's see. Bestow, I would think is grant, especially since it's 5 letters. But Alpine Lake, if it were grant, sometimes I have to like see the letters to help me think of a anagram. If it were Grand Alpine Lake, could be. Maybe it's not grand. I'm not really sure what grading means. Oh, actually, I do, and it is grand. Because grading would be rating. So you can work backwards too, but it's usually easier to work forwards, because if you're working backwards, you don't know what the missing letter would be. But, sometimes you don't need it. It can be obvious. So in this case, we go over to the I to get grand. So Alpine Lake. I'm wondering if this is a word that means like an alpine lake, or if it's like the name of a specific lake. Not sure, so I'm going to come back to that. Florida fruit. Orange. Shirley. Yeah. We have orange. And then bemoan, I believe, is grown. Which means we got rid of the E. It's kind of weird. We had like 2 clues so far that the clue is very similar to the word. Like bemoan is quite similar to grown. Like obviously they mean the same thing, but they kind of sound similar. And grading and rating. I feel like that's not common for these kind of puzzles. And then chimed would be rang. And then that means we got rid of the O. Okay. Pure. Not fresh. But it has to be 5 letters, so it's not rotten or wilted or old. Maybe it's trite. If it was trite, what would pure be? Sometimes I also like to write a word that I think is possible over in the margins, just to, like I said, kind of visualize the letters. Pure. And then here's where it gets tricky, is I don't really know what this would mean. For some reason, Thompson just makes me think of Hunter S. Thompson. But I really don't know what. These also get tricky because unlike a crossword or something where you have, several words that interact with any given clue to help you out, with this one, there's only 3. So if you get stuck on 1, or God forbid 2, you can really get put in a hard place, which is kind of where these can sometimes come into play and help a little bit. is maybe tiaras. Yes, because this is tiaras. And this a single step. Be a stair. Which means that we got rid of one of the A's. And then darn it is rats. Rats. I feel like that needs an exclamation point. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start the middle of this one because it's very obviously Marge from The Simpsons. And wheat term. Got rid of A here. Trough. Is it a manger? I honestly couldn't tell you for certain that that's what a manger is, but like visualizing the imagery of like baby Jesus in a manger, it does look like a trough, so I'm going to assume that's what it is. This is hard because that could be a lot of things. The first 6-letter oil that comes to mind is canola. Or canola. Swelter. What's coming to mind for swelter is like burn or roast. Or toast. And float aloft. Oh, I bet is soar. So this is roast. Which means blank oil is probably castor oil. And then it was roast. So we got rid of the C here. And what was it? Soar. Got rid of the T. Alright, this one's not going terribly so far. Underworld goddess would be goddess. It's not like Persephone or deceive. Trick probably isn't it, because I don't know what trick would become for Underworld Goddess. And then a racing gauge. Is that like racing gauge? Like gear or the word gear, deceive could be only associate the underworld with a god, Hades. I mean, not that I'm super caught up on my Greek mythology. Maybe it would have helped for me to have gone to see the Odyssey. I remember in, I don't even know, maybe 5th grade, the Odyssey was part of our summer reading, and we had this giant, like, thick packet of, like, worksheets and, like, questions and, like, mini essay questions and stuff that we had to fill out. And, of course, as you do, I left my summer homework until the very, very last minute. I was actually on a plane. I can't even remember where I was coming from, but we had gone on some trip, and I, like, speed read, or this is really bad, but I may have even, like, spark notes the Odyssey, and was, like, rushing to fill out that packet. That was a recurring issue for me. I remember, I don't think it was the same year, but maybe a couple years later, we had a similar big packet for my Spanish class, and me and my best friend both left it until literally the night before school started, and we were at her house until 4 a.m. probably, and we didn't even quite finish it. But unfortunately, I never learned my lesson because it never quite bit me in the ass. I always kind of got away with it, so I never, like, faced the repercussions. Let's see, what was 9? Alpine Lake. Okay, maybe I look. This is looking like grievance. What word might go with grievance? It's tough because since it's like a compound word, phrase, or related words, I think it's kind of related words because I can't think of a compound word or phrase that starts with grievance. But related could mean synonyms, or it could mean like antonym. So grievance. It's not like a complaint. It's not compliment. It's not pushy. But I feel like this does have to be an E, right? Unless it's a Y. Well, if this was grievance, we would lose a V from 13. Could you put a V into trite to get pure? I don't think so. But what word could mean pure that has a V in it? So really here we would have a G, flower plot. When I think of a flower plot, all I think of is like, oh, garden. I was thinking smaller, like just an individual bed, or like a pot or something. The garden makes sense, so I think, yeah, this has got to be grievance. Consumer activist, we get rid of the G. It's A-R-D-E-N. Consumer activist. Nader, like Ralph Nader, is that? scan a book would be read. That, in hindsight, that's quite obvious, but when I read that at first, I was thinking like a librarian scanning the like IBSN barcode, which means we got rid of the in. Is this negotiate? Okay, so we have grievance. I guess those are related. Not really. It's not a synonym or an antonym. They're just kind of involved in similar, or in the same situation. So if you got rid of G, it's just ramp. Is there like a lake tran? Lake. There's only so many combinations it could be with only one vowel. Tran, tarn, art. That's one that I'm just gonna have to guess and then check at the end. I guess technically it doesn't really matter since I already know the two words now. But which I mean, argue about what the real objective of the puzzle is. If it's you like finish once you get these two words, or if it's like filling in everything. Tarn. I'm gonna put that down for now. And then I started writing tran. Asterisk that one. This one is going to be really bad for me. Not fresh. Could it maybe be like olden? And if we added a V to that, pure. I don't think so. I can't think of any synonym for pure that is 6 letters. All I can think of is like raw, unadulterated, unrefined. Like potent, maybe. There's no V in potent, obviously. Thompson et al. Thompson et al. Okay. Yeah, these two are kind of what I was talking about, where once you, if you can't get 2 or even 3, it's like kind of, racing gauge. Deceive. Okay. I feel like deceive would be my best shoe in the door. That's not foot in the door. this racing gauge is tick. That doesn't really make sense to me though. I don't know what the underworld. Oh, well, also it can't be tick because we're losing an E. So does he has to have at least an E in it? Dupe is only 4 letters. To see. I'm wondering if, like, because first of all, I'm not even sure if Persephone is a goddess per se, but if she is, she's the one that gets taken to the underworld with Hades. I'm wondering if this is like the Roman name of Persephone that they're asking for, which. Wait. I know that isn't there a goddess Diane or Diana? No, is it like Helena? For some reason that keeps popping into my head. Maybe like that's where hell comes from. If it were Helena, then deceive might be what I also think might be Helena because there are 2 E's. But sure, you know the 2 letters we have to get rid of. No, I don't, that doesn't work. I hope you guys can still find relaxation in my frustration. Because even skipping over the middle one, once you got rid of both E's, it would be H, L, N, A. And I can't think of any word you could make with that. Well, is it Helena or is it just Hella? But I mean, that still wouldn't be it because that would be 6 letters, right? Unless it was like, could it be like Hella? Surely not. No. I might just, for the sake of time, because wow, I've already spent 30 minutes on this puzzle. I might just have to call it on this one. If I were just doing this in my own time, I would probably leave this and come back with a fresher mind some other time and see if I could get it. But for your guys' sake, I think since we already got the 2 related words, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the answer. Let's see, solutions on page 124. Escalators 2. Also, go check Tarn. escalators too. Okay, tarn is correct. I'm gonna look that up later. I'm not sure if that's a specific lake or just a word for that. Okay, wow. So I don't think I was ever going to get this sequence. What was the third clue? Thompson et al. Okay, wow. Yeah, no. So pure was Vestal. Not fresh was stale. I could have gone that. That makes sense. And then Thompson et al. Is Leah's. Leah Thompson is not a name I'm familiar with. So at best, I could have gone one of those. And then, oh gosh, I'm kicking myself. Okay. Hecate, right? I should have, in my head when I said Hella, I literally thought to myself of Jinx Monsoon, the drag queen who like is into like Wiccan paganist. I don't, I'm not sure what phrase, what label she uses, but when she won the second time, she was like praise Hecate, but for some reason I mixed that up in my mind with Hella. So when I was talking about Hella, I even thought of Jinx Monsoon, but I should have thought of it correctly, and I would have gotten Hecate, which then gives us cheat, of course, and then that gives us tack, like a tachometer. I think that one, with a little more time, or like coming back with a fresh mind, I could have gotten that, but unfortunately for today, we're going to have to settle for getting the two words. I guess I'll just fill it in. With Vestal, stale, and Hecate, cheat, and tack. I'm going to remove this asterisk since that was correct, and place a little asterisk on the ones that I had to look at the answers for. So, not a great grade, but a passing grade, right? Well, what is 21 out of 27? I can't really do that math in my head, but I think it's passing, but low passing. Alright, I'm going to save this one for another time. Let's see what else we have. This is not a familiar. This alphabetical list of severely unrelated words actually contains 15 groups of 3 related items. Your job is to sort the items 15 groups using each item only once. The trick is that some of the items could be used in more than one group, but only one arrangement of all the items will work. Remember, use each item only once and have exactly 3 items in each group. This is kind of almost a predecessor to New York Times Connections. I feel like I could try this one. Right. Let's see. Surely there's only. I was saying, surely there's only going to be 3 gourds. Well, no. There's cantaloupe, pumpkin, squash, and I think zucchini is a gourd, right? Also, for the turkey, I think I'm only seeing 3. Because it's none of these. I mean, surely it's not hammer, like, to flatten, yeah. It's like a meat tenderizer. I mean, surely that's not an option. We have season. I don't think squash or squeeze would be either. We have stuff. And then we have thaw. None of these other ones really work. So I'm going to go ahead and say that that is the case. Season. Stuff. And thaw. I forgot that I shouldn't really do the ones that are on the left side because it's writing on like the spine area gets irritating. And also I think I'm kind of blocking when I'm writing from the camera's perspective. I guess I can move this over a bit. Also, I haven't even really looked at this for real, but this is kind of hilarious. Like this looks like it's from the 80s. Or like maybe 90s. And this book is from 2015. Like, why does this ad look so old? But this is kind of hilarious. I wonder if these even exist anymore. Like this number, this website. U.S. Career Institute. And like, why is this even in? This like seems like a funny thing to put in a variety puzzle booklet. Okay. I think the smart thing to do would be to look at the words that we've crossed off, since we hopefully know that this is correct, and see what other categories it could have fit into, because then if we look at those categories, we've already eliminated one of the red herrings, and hopefully we might only have 3 possible answers left. Immediately stuff sticks out to me for gem pack. Let's see how many other crayon is one. Squeeze. I don't think squash applies. And then wedge. I think. Also, please forgive my, when I write in lowercase, I do like half print, half cursive, I don't know. Like writing at awkward angles. It makes it even odder. What else would season apply to? It's not apparition, it's not world, of course. They're not rodents. Tools, computer accessories, racket games, football position, spies, belongings. I really don't think season applies to any of these other ones, so you can't really get anything out of that. And then fall. Also does not. But we can move on to gem pack. Wedge. Honestly, I don't. None of these are really, unless a squeeze in a football position that I'm not familiar with. I'm not a sports person. But none of these are really sticking out to me as like having an alternate meaning that aligns with any of these categories. Except maybe like wedge and belongings, like a shoe, but that seems odd. Or maybe one of these is a pistol part that I'm also not aware of. Okay. Maybe let's look at rodents. I know there is hamster, mole, mouse, and vole. Now, vole I don't think could be anything else. Mouse could be computer accessories. I don't think hamster could be anything else. And mole could be spies. Or they watch, but I think it's more spies than that. But I think we can go ahead and put hamster and vole to rodents. See what rhymes with OAST. We have boast. Oh, almost tricked me. Ghost. Post. Is that it? One post. Two ghost. Three post. Yeah. I could not have written that more terribly. Also, if you watched my first or second video, I guess, that bird on my finger is slowly healing. It looks better than it did a week ago. I'm hesitant for like pistol parts because like there are some that I definitely recognize, but I'm afraid that if I try to do that, I'm gonna like miss something that I'm not aware of. Because like there's barrel, hammer, and trigger. But I'm scared to put that down in case, there's a fourth one that I'm missing. Okay, we got rid of ghost, and there's apparitions, so maybe we eliminated the red herring and we can do that now. Phantom. Spectre and spirit. I was like, am I missing something because I'm not seeing enough? But no. Phantom, spectre, spirit. could thick gourds be that is not gourd? I don't know what cantaloupe could be. I don't know what zucchini could be. Pumpkin could be terms of endearment. Squash could be racket games. But I think we can go ahead and write cantaloupe, zucchini. Terms of endearment could be cupcake, pumpkin, sweetie. I guess that's it, right? Mouse operative, squash, yeah. So, cupcake, pumpkin, and sweetie, which means since pumpkin has to be used, that the third gourd must be squash. So if squash is not a racket sport, then that only leaves badminton, tennis, and badminton, tennis. Not sure if I've made a mistake. Tackle. I don't know if I've made a mistake or if I am ignorant of another racket game. The only other racket game I can think of is pickleball, but obviously this was like before that took off. Because if that was badminton, tennis, squash, then either I missed a terms of endearment and pumpkin is the other squash, or I missed another gourd. Surely not. I don't. None of these are gourds. Turns I don't know what this is. Because isn't a vice V-I-C-E? Like, aren't both vices, as in like a bad habit and also like a clamp, aren't those both V-I-C-E? So I don't know what V-I-S-E is, but maybe I'm wrong. But there's no other term of endearment, really. Oh my god. There's me tapping on darling going, well, there's no other term of endearment. I really don't know how I missed that. Jesus. Well, okay, that solves that issue. So pumpkin is not a term of endearment. So I'm trying not to go back and forth quickly with the eraser so I don't shake the desk. feel like I'm pretty confident that football positions, all that's left is guard, quarterback, and safety. Not agent, barrel, chisel, gear, goods, hammer, lookout, wall monitor, mouse, operative, printer, sentry, speakers. Oh, tackle. Trigger, trespass. Okay. Okay. And like almost all of these, I mean, like quarterback is absolutely one of them. Safety, I think, is because it's not. What do you have left? I'm gonna mark off the ones that we have done. Safety is not day watch. It's not a rodent. It's not. Oh, it is a pistol part. See, I was correct not to assume that it was just barrel, hammer, and trigger because I wasn't thinking of safety. Okay, so safety could also be a pistol part, and guard could also be they watch. And what was the other one? Tackle. Tackle could be tools. Like, I don't know if that's, if they would mean it that way, like fishing tackle, like tackle box. I don't know if that really qualifies as a tool, but I mean, probably not. If for some reason that ends up being it, we can erase it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put tackle down for football positions. Okay. They watch. Having they watch and spies as two categories is kind of, but I know what they mean. Also, wow, the birds are really going crazy. Hopefully that's not very loud. They watch would be monitor, lookout, guard, sentry. I think those are firmly the they watch category, whereas agent, mole, operative are more spies. Are there only three though? Not wrench, not vice. Maybe vice as in a clamp is V-I-S-E. And that would be a tool. I mean, it's not a rodent, it's not they watch. I don't think it's a pistol part. Or a computer accessory or any. I mean, belongings is an annoying category because that could be like anything, but okay. But I think there's only three options for spies, right? Agent, mole, operative. Yeah, we'll go with that. which means that since mole is not a rodent, mouse has to be the last one. And so mouse is non-computer accessories, which leaves monitor, printer, speakers. That would be it. And since monitor is not in a watch, that leaves guard, lookout, sentry, so all we have left is one more football position, tools, pistol parts, belongings. Now, okay, I think I understand what they mean by belongings. Because it's goods, gear, and where was it? Gear, goods. Where was the third one? I had it. Wait, okay. Tackle. Sweeties. Oh, is it stuff? Which we already used for gem, or not gem pack. Where did stuff go? Oh, for turkey. Things get complicated now if I've made an error that long ago. But I don't see what else could be belongings except, I mean, it's not any of these. It has to be gear, it has to be goods. Stuff, sweet tackle, tennis, thaw. Where did I put tackle? Football positions. Unless maybe it could be tackle. Again, like, you know, tackle box. That is like a collection of belongings. It's not tennis, leisure, interest. was the other one? Guard got taken. What were the options? It was guard, quarterback, safety, tackle. I don't. Then it can't be tackle. Okay. Am I missing something to prep a turkey? Bows, laptop, chisel, crayon, gear, ghost goods, guard, hammer. If it's hammer for prep a turkey, that's crazy. Like, surely not. Mouse over defendant. Post printer, quarterbacks of the season. Centric speaker, spectre, spirit, squash, squeeze, stuff, sweetie, tackle, tennis, thaw, trigger, tress, bible, wedge, wrench, zucchini. Okay. I feel like that these have to be the three for prepping a turkey. But first of all, we do know that gear and goods are belongings. But it has to be stuff, no? Okay. First of all, what is left for between tools? Between tools and pistol parts, we have pistol part, tool, tool, pistol part, pistol part, tool, tool, truss. Oh, could, no, a truss. Truss. All I know of for truss is like a, a support element, like part of a bridge. But that doesn't align with any of these unless that goes into tools. But surely not, considering there's already chisel, hammer, wrench, vise. I don't think vise could be anything but a tool. And neither could chisel. And I think wrench is also a tool. So we have barrel, hammer, safety, and trigger, which could all be the pistol parts. So safety would be the football position. And then barrel, hammer, trigger are the pistol parts. And maybe truss is the belongings. Nice cut. Okay. It is beer goods stuff. Okay. And it's not stuff a turkey, it's seasoned thaw and truss. I have no idea what that means in the context of preparing a turkey. But I'll take just one substitution. Where was stuff? So yeah, I would say we pretty much got it. Let me know if you know what it means to truss a turkey. Another. It seems wrong to use the word archaic, but I'm going to say archaic, or at least very niche terminology that I'm going to have to look up after this. See if there's any they're like crosswords. It's kind of like some of those. It's kind of like this, where it's like syllables in each square instead of just one letter. But instead of giving you the letters, it's like a crossword that has clues. But if there's not one of those, maybe I can do this crypto family. I do like brick by brick as well, but it being on the left side is kind of annoying. This is what I'm talking about, but unfortunately it is on the left side, so just to be honest, I'm not the best at these, and also a lot of them are like some of the worst offenders for archaic or obscure or etc. I think it'd be interesting to do the social media one because this is from 2015, so social media is not quite the same as it was 10 years ago, but maybe we can figure this out. Okay, this is odd. It's the same in the. If you don't know, these are each category is a collection of words that are associated with this theme, but they've been put through a substitution cipher. So each letter corresponds to a different letter in the alphabet, and it will be the same for each. So, say Q's are A's, I would put A under each Q, and you figure out what the solution is. So that means that this is the same word, and then two letters hyphenated in between them, which is very actions on Facebook, like poke or but also I'm not even sure if any of these are the names of, like, tweet is not the name of a social media, it's an action on social media. Post is too short. Followers? No. Or just follow? No. Thought maybe this could be it, but it would be, since the eyes maybe like follows, but these would both be O. That doesn't match. Okay, surely one of the 5-letter ones is share. I would have to imagine. And a letter cannot be itself in the cipher, so this one couldn't be share because the E would be an E. Well, that same issue applies here because it can't be, the A would be an A. So it's also not share. It's not blog, it's not, couldn't one of them be MySpace? This is 7 letters, but the E is at the end. This is 7 letters. This could maybe be MySpace. Maybe let's try cookies, and if we do good on that, we can reassess this. If we have time. It's already quite a long video. Maybe next time I'll come back to that one. Cookies, I think, will be easier. Yes, because this is very clearly chocolate chip. So we at least have an entry point. Like, once you get a few letters going, things really fall into place, but when you can't even figure out the first one, it's hard to get anywhere. Okay, so every N is a C. Another C here, another C here. Another C here. That is all of the C's. A's are H's. So we have another H here. And that is it. G's are O's. So we have another O here. We have 2 O's here, which makes me think this is going to be Oreo. And then 2 O's, which, see, already getting them. This is going to be Oreo, and this is going to be Snickerdoodle. But let's finish these letters first. Y's are L's. T's are A's. Z's are T's. is a very good first one to do because we already have 5 vowels. So I feel like we pretty much, by the time I'm done filling these out, we'll be able to figure out almost every other one. And D is I. Whenever I do these, I always inevitably somehow end up missing at least one letter that should have gotten filled in, and then I get towards the end and I'm like, hey, this should be, this letter, but I already did that one, and then I look and I'm like, oh, I just missed that. Missed that individual one. Then E is P. Alright, then we have, let's do Oreo. So F's are R. This is going to be, I think I'm at the point where I can just start filling them in. This is going to be Madeline. This is going to be peanut butter. This is going to be shortbread. Animal cracker. This one I might, ginger snap. I was like, this one I might have to consult the other letters I've just been filling in. But we figured it out. This one is snickerdoodle. This one is, I skipped over oatmeal raisin. And this is I is G, yeah. A spring roll. Not familiar with that variety of cookie. But, do I try to go back? Or maybe to university? Maybe professor is one of them. Nope. Campus. This could be campus. I like before I start, because I don't, if you get the first word wrong and start filling stuff in, you're like really screwed. So I try to like mentally fill it in and then see if other things make sense. Okay, I can write this down and then assess. be enroll. Do any of these share a letter? No. Which is still correct. I feel more confident in enroll, particularly because I'm seeing a lot of B's and L's, which would be vowels. L, 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 L. So I'm going to start filling in letters from enroll, and then we'll see if Canvas works out. So B's would be E's. A's are N's. Oh my god, no. I should have known from the beginning. This has to be the same letter as these two. Well, I'm glad I caught that relatively early. Then what else? What could this be that has? But I feel like L has to be an L because of like this double L here. It has to be either E or O. Maybe, okay, let's try to fill in Canvas and see if that starts to look right. So S's are C's. Okay, yes, I think Canvas is correct. Because I'm already saying that this is curriculum, which matches the G's and yeah, okay. And the, yeah. Okay, so Canvas is correct. Is that the last? Yes. P's are A's. P's? P's are A's. There's so few P's. U is M. X is P. G is U. Also, I just gotta make that sound that I'm like thinking to myself that, and I just kind of realized that that's kind of a very common. I don't know when that started, because I've been watching ASMR for like over a decade, and that was never really a thing. And now it's become like so widespread that like it seems like any video unrelated to what the main trigger is, people are making that mouth sound where they're like, and for me I kind of find it annoying or like distracting usually. Sometimes I enjoy it, but it didn't register to me until just now that it might be construed that that's what I'm doing, but really I'm just thinking what was I doing? G's or U's? is scholarship. So these are H's. And Y's are O's. And then this is credit hours. So A's are E's. Oh, right. B's are D's. J's are T's. Which has practically filled in most of the rest. This is students. This is dormitory. This is degree. This is sorority. And this is undergrad. Not too bad, not too bad. Slight missed at the first, but we course corrected pretty quickly. I think that's gonna do it for today. We got through what, three puzzles? Yeah. I think I did decent. Only a few errors. So that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed doing some variety puzzles with me, hopefully you weren't too frustrated yelling at your phone if I was missing some glaringly obvious things. But I hope you enjoyed and hopefully got some relaxation. And like, comment, do all those kinds of things, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.